Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series, Explorations in Savitri, with our beloved Alaquai. We continue Book 3, the Book of the Divine Mother, Canto 4, the Vision and the Boon, page 339, and we'll go over a few of the lines from yesterday.
Yes, so people often ask this question, that is there really hope for the world? And you'll hear many kinds of prophecies of doomsday and darkness and Snoopgate and all these things. But who said that there was hope in that direction? We are looking in the wrong direction. So, where is the hope? The hope is because there is a soul within. And the hope is because there is a grace above. And these two come together and they are the hope of the world. And one can put it very logically. If there is God, then why worry? Surely He knows His way. And if there is no God, then why worry? Because there is no way. So this is, very logical you can put it like that. But the hope is because there is a soul within, and Mother says the psychic being is part of the evolutionary divine manifestation. It has no interest in nirvana. So all this thing about nirvana and all does not belong to the psychic being. It comes for this. It has come from the beginning for this purpose. So what is interested in nirvana? The mind may be interested in nirvana, the higher mind, it can look at things philosophically. Oh, this world of dukkhams, it's so, transient world, and, it withdraws. And in that journey, it can meet the impersonal. It's possible for the human mind to develop in that direction. But as far as the psychic being is concerned, it is part of the evolutionary divine manifestation and it seeks that. So we have this marvelous line, and how shall the end be vain when God is guide? And this is the essence of the famous line in the Gita, where at the end it is said, wherever there is Sri Krishna, the Parth Sarthi, and wherever there is Arjuna, the Dhanurdhara, there is victory. So Arjuna is also a word which means pure, white, immaculate. So it refers to the psychic being in man. And Sri Krishna is the divine guide. Where is the problem? The problem is with the mind, vital and body, the instrument. So what is the game? Now, we have the game of games. This game is very interesting. On one side, as one team, there is the psychic being and the divine grace. The other team is mind, vital and body and all the other paraphernalias, inconscient, subconscient, etc. The gods, the titans and everybody else. But what is this game? It's not about this team defeating that team. The game is winning over members from that team into this side. It's a very interesting game if you look at it. Actually, I had a very elaborate dream once, exactly similar thing. That's when I understood, this is the game. The game is not about me versus they. The game is how they can become us. Us till there is only one. So this is the game. So initially the mind, vital and physical resist. That's how the game will be enjoyable. If they just say, okay, done.
But without proselytizing and without conversion.
Obviously, this is the true conversion actually. Absolutely. If there is a truth in conversion, it is only in this conversion where spontaneously our nature and its members feel that they belong to the divine and they must. All other religious conversion, ideological conversion, I think that is equally worse, maybe more dangerous. They have no meaning, this ideology, that ideology. The only true conversion is the conversion of mind, vital and body into their divine equivalent. So this is what we are reading, the game of games, and we have the chariot here, and we have been given the assurance. And how shall the end be vain when God is guide? Okay, so we'll continue. We had stopped with these 3-4 lines. There is no end to the world's stupendous march. There is no rest for the embodied soul. Page 339. So, O soul, stop seeking for rest. That's not what we are here for. We are here to participate in the labor of the gods. So it is not a retired man's journey that, okay, now let me find some peace in some meditation. It's the battle, and it's so wonderful when we look at it like that. It must live on, describe all time's huge curve. So escape has no meaning. Might as well do it as soon, as well, as perfectly as possible. An influx presses from the closed beyond, forbidding to him rest and earthly ease. Till he has found himself, he cannot pause. Now look at the marvel of these lines. Forbidding to him rest and earthly ease. So if somebody feels that, I am having a very comfortable life, it means probably you have not yet started in the great game. So, because when the game starts, then it's wonderful. And now these lovely lines. A light there is that leads, a power that aids. Unmarked, unfelt, it sees in him and acts. Ignorant, he forms the all-conscient in his depths. Human looks up to superhuman peaks. Why this happens? Because there is a power and a light which are helping us. We do not know, we do not see. And yet it is there. Shobhita in Synthesis of Yoga describes very beautifully that in the beginning when the sadhaka moves, he thinks it's his effort and he is doing. Then later on he discovers the presence of the Divine Mother. And then turning back he sees that actually all through she was leading him. Only he didn't know it. So through all the so-called trials and tribulations, the errors, the risings, the fallings, and the failings and the successes, it was she who was leading. So that is the sense here, that there is a light that leads and a power that aids. And a time comes when though we are human, even in ignorance, he forms the all-conscient in his depths. The psychic being is growing even when we are ignorant. With all the stupidities of life, it still grows through everything. There is a very...
I'm thinking of the lines in Book 1, Canto 4.
Yes.
Beginning with, even when we fail to look within or lie embedded in earthly consciousness, still have we parts that grow towards the light.
Yes. And it's so liberating just to know this. So liberating. Of course, this liberating should not lead to, okay, then, we just... But it's liberating to know that we are constantly being led in the forward march. And this is the highest Vedanta. So where somehow people have messed up today into, good and evil and virtue and sin and reward and punishment, dualities, that's a mind-made thing. But in the original Vedanta, everything is moving forward towards that great light. There is no other way. There is only one way, and it's a forward march. There is nothing like you become a human being, next life will become a girgate or a, whatever, chameleon. We were told as a child, if you listen to somebody's talk, you'll become a lizard in next life. He said, why lizard? Because, she's quietly listening to our talk. Weird ideas. So he says that there is a constant movement forward. So within us, this psychic is growing. And though we are human, a time comes when we begin to look up to superhuman peaks. A borrower of supernature's gold, he paves his road to immortality. At present, it comes as a gift. These few moments, these visitations, these flashes. But actually, it belongs to us at some peak of consciousness. It's like a father who has kept all the money for his son, but he doesn't give it like that. He says, okay, you have to earn it. Do this and I'll give you. But deep inside he knows one day he is the rightful higher. So that is how the divine, it seems like we have borrowed this, not our own. Something has come and something has... But as we grow, we begin to identify with these parts and they become very much part and parcel of ourselves. Now, wonderful lines. The high gods look on man and watch and choose. today's impossibles for the future's base. So when we say, oh, this is impossible, this is a gone case, divine says, aha, yes, this is my case. What did you say, man? Impossible? Okay, good. Send him to me. I am looking for such characters. Mother actually said in one of her early talks, because the realization is much more complex, there is a reason behind it. She says that. She says there are a number of aphorisms. One place she says, Sri Aurobindo says, a converted asura is much more useful from God's point of view. What will he do with innocent angels? Because it's an entire complexity and the manifestation is far more complete. So in the beginning, the mother in one of her conversations says, in the beginning I used to say that each of you represents an impossibility. And it may have sounded very harsh, but today I would say that each of you represents a difficulty to be solved after the supramental manifestation. Before that, she would say an impossibility means nothing can be done, but you are here, let's see what can be done. It's like a gone case, terminal case, going to a doctor. Doctor will not say nothing can be done. He'll say, okay, let's register. But now she has found the cure. So that's how she can
But when she sent us to Oroville, she said, do not think you are very special. Each of you represents a problem of the world to be worked out.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so difficult to tell others. Famous example of a very old-time sadhak who was admitted in Jipmar, and he was, it is so dirty and not clean. And the doctor said, are you not supposed to be from, practicing spirituality? So what should it matter to you whether it is dirty and all this? So he said, no, you won't understand all this because it's about Sri Aurobindo's yoga. You do your work. You don't. And he had a point, because it's manifestation, so it matters. If there is no manifestation, it doesn't matter. Like when someone asked Sri Aurobindo, why should the divine want, good water and all? What does it matter to him whether it is bacteria or germs? So Sri Aurobindo says, and pray tell me, why would you want to feed the divine water which is filled with bacteria? What kind of logic is this? So this idea of old time sannyas spirituality. But here there is a work to do.
But even with mother,
yes,
they complained that she wore beautiful saris.
Yes. So divine should always be, tattered. So this is...
Sri Aurobindo said, you want the divine to dress in rags?
Now, this is very, very strange. I have found this very strange, at least in the Indian setting. Because if I go into the Hindu mythology, all the goddesses, when they are described, Lavanyamayi, Raj Rajeshwari, in fact, there are stories that, a whole demon world, Narkasur, recently we had, was destroyed. Why? Because he had the audacity to pluck Mother Aditi's golden luminous kundal. She's not, none of the goddesses are shown as, even Parvati, Gauri, she is described as, how beautiful she is. The highest form of the Divine Mother is called Tripur Sundari. And that's why, Lalita. And that's why Mother says that in India, this shunning of beauty has been taught by the Asura, and that has been one of the cause of India's downfall. Shunning beauty, as if it's something like a trap. But beauty is an expression of the divine. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram at every level. Why should Sundaram be only abstract? Of course it is abstract, but it's also in manifestation. His transience trembles with the eternal's touch. This impossibles also remind me of a story. The story means someone, a very old-time sadhak, he gives a advice to the younger generation. He says, you know what? You think that you are full of difficulties and problems. Okay, you can tell the divine that, well, if I am the worst case, then you are the best healer, where else I can go. And if I am not the worst case and you have treated better, worse people, then I surely have hope. So either which way. And now you see how he works step by step. His transience trembles with the eternal's touch. His barriers cede beneath the infinite straight. So as the divine walks into our life, our, we have constructed things and they tend to break away. And there is an enlargement of scope, of thought, of feelings, of actions, and everything, begins to widen. The immortals have their entries in his life. The ambassadors of the unseen draw near. A splendour sullied by the mortal air. Love passes through his heart, a wandering guest. So slowly these high gods who choose the impossibles for future space. So they begin to act. So there are visitations of knowledge, thought revelations, inspirations, intuitions, a growing sweetness in the heart, a turn towards love and beauty and delight. But for a brief hour, so beautifully describes, love passes through his heart, a wandering guest. At places, Mother, advises as one of the reflections that every day we must sit and reflect. So one of the reflections he gives is that why love turns into hatred. We get a wrong lesson when this happens. We say, oh, all this is transient, develop vairagya. But if you go to the core of it, it is the imperfection of our nature. Love should be beautiful, it should be divine. It should not turn into this, but it is sullied because human nature is not ready to hold the flame. So if you read the book 1, Canto 2, where he describes love in her was wider than the universe. And
the whole world could take refuge in her single heart.
Then never a rarer creature bore his shaft. That test of the burning Godhead in our parts. This burning Godhead is love. Never a rarer creature. Why? Because she is so vast. No lower movement can come in. That is how that love can be. And also elsewhere later on says, but for this human love must change its ways to divine. That is the important part, not love as it is. But what we do is we discard the energy thinking that it's a snare. What we have to do is purify and transmute it. That is the path which is being shown. Yeah.
Beauty surrounds him for a magic hour. He has visits of a large, revealing joy. Brief widenesses release him from himself, enticing towards a glory ever in front. Hopes of a deathless sweetness lure and leave. His mind is crossed by strange discovering fires. Rare intimations lift his stumbling speech to a moment's kinship with the eternal word. A mask of wisdom circles through his brain, perturbing him with glimpses half divine.
So you see, so beautifully describing step by step the process of transformation, evolutionary process. So there is love, there is visitations of beauty, surrounds him for a magic hour. And usually, beauty and delight go with love. And for a moment, you see, that's what happens when people experience, even at a most ordinary level, when a teenager experiences love, for a moment everything appears beautiful. You can tell it from the joy on his face that something is amiss. That's how mothers come to know. All the mothers know, unusually happy. Something is, going on. Beauty. Everything is wonderful. Because that's the quality of love. But it's for a brief while. Very soon it's sullied. He has visits of a large revealing joy. You see, they will come together. Love, beauty, joy. They are three sides or shades of one truth. Brief widenesses release him from himself. Suddenly the mind, the narrow mind, the bigoted mind suddenly enters into a very wide space. And you see, this line is very interesting. Brief widenesses release him from himself. The line is not he is released or he releases himself into widenesses. They release the god of wideness. It's the whole story on him, Varuna, who enters and cuts the cord of mind, and the mind becomes a universal mind, a free intelligence, not man's effort. But again, this is the action of the gods he is describing, all through how they act upon the human being and prepare him. Enticing towards a glory ever in front, hopes of a deathless sweetness, lure and leave, lure and leave, lure and leave, till finally he arrives. That's how, and Mother speaks of that in one of her conversations. Why illusions are permitted? Because that is how you grow. You can't suddenly grow from this ant-like stature to an elephant. So you will go through illusions. With each illusion, you may go through disappointment, but actually you grow. You grow, something grows like a wideness, something which tries at truth and fails. Then again it tries. And multiple efforts till finally you hit the jackpot. Many attempts are justified because of the one jackpot which you are going to hit at the center one day. It's a preparation process. Lure and leave. His mind is crossed by strange discovering fires. Rare intimations lift his tumbling speech to a moment's kinship with the eternal word. So, our speech, our thoughts are lifted up. They receive touches of inspiration, revelation, intuitions, and the joy that comes from these. And human speech begins to be molded into a speech divine. That line of Sri Aurobindo, in the golden light has entered into my throat, and all my speech is now a tune divine. A pained song of thee, my single note. My words are drunk with the immortals wine. Imagine, the words give joy. So always, and Mother speaks of it in one of her experiences. You see, people come, they show her books and what they have said. She said, I'm looking for that little vibration of joy. That is the sign. The sign is not how big sounding words you are speaking. And that's the problem with academics, so dull and dry, as if the heart is not there. Only the left brain, that too a very small little brain. So, skeptic brain. We can edit it if you want.
I think we'll let this one go.
Let this one go. No, people have told me words. Oh, you are so much against academics. I said I am nothing against academics, but only don't put yourself at the forefront and the ultimate that you can analyze the words of a realized being. That's all. Just be in your place, humble enough. That's all that is required. As long as that is there, it's fine. A mask of wisdom circles through his brain, perturbing him with glimpses half divine. Look at it, perturbing him. And there are so many stories like that. Even there was this famous lady who would have visions of truth. But she was cursed. That is in Greek legend, Trojan War. Famous, this woman with the name C. She's a priestess. But she's cursed that you have got it, because she falls in love with Apollo but it's with a purpose. She wants this gift, and after that she leaves him. So Apollo curses her. He says, you will see truth because you have come with me. But because you have left me, nobody will believe in what you will say. So she predicts that, don't go for war. I can see that whole Troy is burning. But they don't believe, she's a mad woman. So.
And in the marvelous poem, Marpessa,
Yes.
when Apollo comes down and is wooing the girl.
Yes.
Ultimately, she chooses the human.
Yes, that's right. It's a very beautiful symbolic story.
Oh.
Very beautiful symbolic story where she chooses the human and why she has come together. It's a Vedic legend of mating between the human and the godlike. It's a very beautiful, story. All stories of the Trojan War are amazing. Perturbing him with glimpses half divine, he lays his hands sometimes on the unknown. He communes sometimes with eternity. A strange and grandiose symbol was his birth. human birth. And immortality, and spirit room, and pure perfection, and a shadowless bliss are this afflicted creature's mighty fate. Look at the irony and the hope and the promise. So, what is our destiny? We go to a soothsayer. What does he say? You will succeed in your competition, or you will overthrow your boss, or you will get money. This is nothing to do with destiny. This is not about destiny and fate. Fate and destiny is the goal, the road. Thou choosest are thy fate. Savitri itself reveals that, O man, the events that meet thee on thy road, though they smite thy body and mind with joy and grief, are not thy fate. They touch thee a while and pass. The road, the goal thou choosest are thy fate. So there also he continues saying that, lifting the hammers of titanic toil, the gods work upon man and their sons are marked with stamp of fire. So what is our fate? Here is the ultimate. Our fate is, let's read it again, so nice. And immortality and spirit room, this body itself will become a room, house of the spirit, and pure perfection and a shadowless bliss. This perfection is not just arranging things materially, but a roundedness, wholeness of all that we embody and lifted to the pinnacles of divinity. So that is the perfection, pure perfection, and a shadowless bliss are this afflicted creature's mighty fate. In him the earth mother sees draw near the change, foreshadowed in a dumb and fiery depths. A godhead drawn from her transmuted limbs, an alchemy of heaven on nature's base. So earth has nurtured this child.
Yes.
After all, she is the one who gave room for the psychic to come. And slowly she is, it has been promised to her. We can almost make a Puranic legend of our own, that when earth was told you have to do a big work, she is a goddess. And she says, all right, what is the work? Most difficult work. What is it? You will become just the very opposite of this goddess. And what will happen? You have to become absolutely obscure like hard matter. What next? Ultimately, a divine perfection will be carved out of you. And she agrees. So that's why she's a goddess, Ever pondered all the gods are seated up in the sky? But earth is a goddess who is here. Prithvima. So that's why she is so special. And she waits billions of years, she is waiting for this new being to come, who is going to be the peak, who will change her life.
Adept of the self-born, unfailing line, leave not the light to die the ages bore. Help still humanity's blind and suffering life. Obey thy spirit's wide, omnipotent urge. A witness to God's parley with the night, it leaned compassionate from immortal calm, and housed desire, the troubled seed of change of things. Assent to thy high self, create, endure.
So this is to Ashupati. She is not refuting his vision and the claim for the greater world. She says it will come. But all that she is saying is don't hurry it up.
Wait a while.
Wait a while. And don't merge your heart, because you are not born for that. Actually, there are many secrets in this line. One of them is that Ashupati and Savitri, they are beings from the higher plane, and Ashupati has come down out of compassion. He has leaned upon earth to share the burden of the evolutionary labor. He had no reason to come down. He is free. So, he leaned.
And she calls him
Adept
of the self-born, unfailing line.
The sages who are, they don't have a master, the original sages, the original seers of truth, self-born. And they are the ones who have come down into the play. Leave not the light to die the ages bore. Help, still humanity is blind and suffering life. Obey thy spirit's wide, omnipotent urge. Only the omnipotent can think like this. Let's come back again and again, 1,000 times in the bonds of matter. Why? Because he's omnipotent. He knows that ultimately one day it's going to succeed. A witness to God's parley with the night, it leaned compassionate from immortal calm and housed desire the troubled seed of things. So God's parley with the night, when there was just the dense night of inconscient, it chose to enter into this great and tremendous journey. And that's what Ashupati is. Ascend to thy high self, create, endure. Cease not from knowledge, let thy toil be vast. No more can earthly limits pen thy force. Equal thy work with long, unending times. So, in a way, she has granted to Ashupati like an individual boon. That's how it started. What thou hast won is thine, but ask no more. No soul is thy companion in the light. Alone thou standest at the eternal door. So all this starts from there. You have reached thus far, and you know what is the plan. So as far as you are concerned, it is granted. For the earth, help humanity, it will take long. Till then you stay in this greater self and continue to help humanity. One day it will reach.
And later on, we see the divine says the same thing to Savitri.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes. Equal thy work with long, unending times. So you see what Shivendra and the mother have done, they have created what can be called as compressed time. Some people call it jump time. Or you can equally put, they have compressed the evolution of millions of years. So they are not just prophets who saw that there will be a Superman who will come. They actually made it happen much faster than what is intended. So prophets see. Some people call him as a prophet who saw the coming of Superman. So saw the coming would end here. If Ashupati says, okay, I'll do as you command. But they didn't only see, they wanted it to happen here and now because they also embodied the anguish of the earth. That he will describe later on. Traveler upon the bare eternal heights where he has reached. Tread still the difficult and dateless path, joining the cycles with its austere curve, measured for man by the initiate gods. You see, this is the path. So there are two paths, the path of the Titans and the path of the gods. This comes in one of the Puranas. Path of the Titans is where they oppose God's plan and thereby merge into God. And it is in 3 lives. It's a figurative way of saying. Whereas path of the gods takes 7 lives and it's a path of perfection, more difficult. Because you are not in a hurry or haste. And there you collaborate with the plan of the one. So it's an evolutionary path. Unlike the other path where you escape from the evolutionary labor. Now comes these lines, one of my favorites, in fact, 2 passages which I had seen of Savitri for the first time in my life. And I saw it on a message card, which I didn't know it's a message card being given from ashram. And I saw it on somebody's table. I said, wow, where did you get this line from? So powerful. My light shall be in thee, my strength thy force. Let not the impatient titan drive thy heart. Ask not the imperfect fruit, the partial prize. Only one boon to greaten thy spirit demand. Only one joy to raise thy kind desire. Above blind fate and the antagonist powers, moveless there stands a high unchanging will. To its omnipotence leave thy work's result. All things shall change in God's transfiguring hour. So this is the program. So you see, before the boon, she is cautioning him what you can get and what you should not ask for. If he asks for merger, no, you are meant for this. Work for this. It's going to take time. You continue working for it. And actually, in a certain sense, when Sri Aurobindo says that they had a choice whether to,
Yes.
proceed with their own perfection first and then come back to human beings, or to take everybody together. And Mother says the choice was obvious, so they took everybody together.
They could have easily done it
They
for
could have easily done it
themselves.
for themselves. If you look at the records of yoga
Oh,
and the Mother's early conversations, already they were experiencing that supramental descent and even the changes in the body. But that when A.B. Purani came and he saw Sri Aurobindo suddenly
yes.
changed, and he says, "Sir, what has happened to you?" Because he had pock marks and they had changed. He had become bright in golden in color, and the hairs had changed and they looked like very oily. So he asked him that, "Are you using some oil on your hair or something? What has happened to you?" And Sri Aurobindo did not reply. He says, "And what has happened to you?" Because he had also grown, he had grown a little fat, and he said, "And what has happened to you?" And diverted the whole thing. And all these changes was happening till the sadhana was in the vital. People who saw the mother in her 70s, they felt that she is in her teens.
Yeah.
But the moment it entered the physical, that you will see the change which came. And that's because that had to be faced in the grim earnest. So this is what has been asked to Ashupati.
We
And
can
maybe we
start,
should stop
little-
here and continue next time. Or you want to read a few lines? Maybe we
I'll
can
read
read.
a few
Yeah.
lines, August and sweet sank hushed that mighty voice. Nothing now moved in the vast brooding space. A stillness came upon the listening world, a mute immensity of the Eternal's peace. But Ashwapati's heart replied to her, a cry amid the silence of the vasts. How shall I rest content with mortal days and the dull measure of terrestrial things? I, who have seen behind the cosmic mask the glory and the beauty of thy face.
So now, who will plead on our behalf? Ashupati. He is the one who will plead on our behalf. There is no one who even, forget the aspiration, who even imagines or conceives of this possibility for earth. But he has foreseen it. And he knows that this is the aspiration secretly in the heart of earth, and this is the destiny of man. So he is going to intercede on our behalf to the Divine Mother. So it's very interesting in Savitri, if you see, there is a role reversal. In the beginning, it is Ashupati who intercedes on our behalf. And in the second half, it is the Divine Mother who intercedes on our behalf.
Yes.
So between the two of them, they have taken the whole burden. All that we need to do is to open to them and be receptive to their workings.
You could say something perhaps about the dual avatar.
Yes. So
It was
maybe-
the first time in human
Yes.
history that it has occurred that the divine and the Shakti descended at the same time.
more importantly, where the Shakti went into the forefront.
Yes.
Otherwise, she has been always behind.
Yes.
Because it was not a new creation. The Purusha aspect was important. But where does the Shakti come into play? Where there is a new creation.
Yes.
So if we look at it through the history of the avatars history, it has always been leaning on the Purusha side. Because the first work was to free man from the clutch of ignorance. So each avatar comes and takes him one rung up the ladder, one rung up the ladder. Till now, but now, man is ready for the next step, the new creation. And for that, the Purusha aspect, the Ishvara has to step behind and ask the Divine Mother to do her work. In the Puranas, it is there that, when Shiva dances, he destroys the old creation. But destroying the old is not enough. So Parvati, the Divine Mother, dances and there is a new creation. So she has to set into motion the new rhythm of a new creation. So she is the one who must step in the forefront.